Hi, my dear beloved friends. Now is the time for us to start the third ring of power, to explore the infinite power of yourself. Perhaps you're familiar with the concept of the unlimited human potential, or your true, infinite, boundless, and eternal self, who you really are, who always existed, who knows everything, who is omnipotent, all-knowing, non-local, who exists beyond time and space, and sometimes you experience some glimpses of its manifestation. Some people call it manifestation of the supernatural power. Suddenly you got a great idea that helped to resolve some dead end issue, like flash of revelation, flash of insight, and suddenly you got your spontaneous physical healing, or someone else got healed in your presence suddenly unexpectedly, or other things that happen in your life that you likely classify as supernatural, extraordinary, or miraculous. But how to always maintain this ring of power, and not to experience it from glimpse to glimpse randomly? Is it possible? Yes. And this is the goal of our learning. We learn it by experience. That's why starting from our next session, it's not going to be like traditional classes, learning theory, teachings, concepts, things like that. It's also not going to be traditional classical guided meditations. We'll never ask you to change the pattern of your breathing, or to close your eyes, or do something special, or to go into a trance. Although often during some times, sometimes those kinds of trainings, like recently in Russia, people may get into some resourceful sort of trance-like states, or even to fall asleep during the sessions. And this is great. Everything that's going to happen will be for your highest best. Your body will always react as it needs to react to get adjusted to those extremely high level frequencies of the third ring power. I'm sure that you experienced it before, but our goal here is to stabilize them, to learn how to maintain them 24/7, to make the supernatural our lifestyle. And yes, it takes a lot of hard self work. We can't tell you that it's easy and effortless. It takes all your life. Your laser focus, concentration, even more than that, total change of your lifestyle. But we're going to move step by step. It's not our goal to overload you to such an extent that you may not be able to move any further. That would totally contradict our purpose, of course. We'll do everything necessary not to overload you, I promise you, and not to make you lazy and complacent. We need a healthy balance here. So first of all, what is the third ring of power? And how is it different from the first and second ones? Most of our videos until the end of May this year, 2025, were dedicated to the second ring of power. In the past, it was considered as the greatest achievement on the spiritual path, to be able to manifest anything you want. If you watched those videos, then you're the great master manifester. You know how to manifest anything you need, anything you want, at any time, at any circumstance. To refresh our memory, our first ring of power is unfortunately the home of the most so-called spiritual people in the world. Religions, where people seek assistance from all kinds of extraterrestrial or non-physical beings, ashrams with their gurus, where people place themselves in all kinds of dependence, codependence relationships with their spiritual teachers, gurus, priests, or whomever. For example, I know someone who is a mother of the grown-up children. They're in the mid-30s, but they still live with their mother. And their lifestyle is no different from the teenagers. And the mother doesn't want to let them go because she sincerely thinks that they can't survive without her. Perhaps she also thinks that she also can't survive without them, but she never says that. It's just because of them, she says, for their highest best, according to her. This is also an example of the first ring of power. Any level of dependency or codependency that involves emotional, psychological attachment to someone else for the purpose of survival, self-maintenance, like I can't live without you, things like that. What's really happening here? Both the mother and her children are the path of self-destruction. How does it work? First of all, the mother holds them literally within her inner space. And if we hypothetically imagine this unrealistic situation, it's totally unrealistic, of course, that someone is already a teenager, but he doesn't want to leave his mother's womb, and she can't be pregnant for so long. And what do you think happens with the mother's body? It will explode sooner or later. And what will happen with the child if he still didn't know how to survive without connection to the mother's body? He can't breathe, he can't get his nourishment because the only source of his survival was his mother's body. And it's already the learned helplessness. Too much time has passed, and now he doesn't know how to become his own source of supply. Both a mother and child perish in this situation. The mother's body is not designed to carry grown-ups within it. And there's a time for children to be unborn, and there's also time to be born and to start living their own independent lives. So the first ring of power, we lived here not by our own power. We existed by the power of someone else, a god, an extraterrestrial, a spiritual teacher, a guru, a spiritual community. We couldn't live and survive without the daily messages, daily teachings of our gurus. We lived and sustained ourselves by their words. We had to constantly read something, spiritual books, listen to the teachings, audio, video, and we're conditioned to be dependent on that sort of so-called support all the time. And we call it spiritual life. So before we start our journey across the third ring of power, we need to ask ourselves a question and honestly answer ourselves. Are there still any external source of information and spiritual nourishment that you use for your self-sustenance? Or if you are a spiritual teacher, life coach, some sort of spiritual leader, healer, psychologist, and the like, ask yourself a question and give yourself an honest answer. Are there any people in your life whom you keep holding within your inner space? Are you emotionally, financially, or sometimes even physically attached to your clients, your students? Can you live without them? If you can't, then you're attached. They live within your womb. They will tear you apart if you don't release them out of your inner space. And they will perish in their learned helplessness. So first of all, you identify if your inner space or your personal field is free and unoccupied. No one is supposed to live within your inner space. No one is supposed to occupy your personal field or aura or etheric body. There are different names that have the same meaning. Your inner space is your inner space, and it's yours only. Can you influence other people, even regions of the world, by your inner space? Yes, of course. But it's different from taking everything into there. You can create the great spheres of influence, but it's only possible if your inner space is clean and no one and nothing lives there. Then your field is clean. It's powerful. It radiates power all over the cosmos when it's pure, clean, and unoccupied. No one lives within your heart. So many light workers and spiritual teachers tell their students that they live their hearts. If it's true, then it's a problem. Not good at all. And no one is supposed to live within your heart. It's not designed to host other people within it. It's designed to be only your personal tool, your channel of your self-expression. How difficult, almost impossible to express yourself in full power when someone lives within your heart. There'll always be an obstacle for your full power self-expression. So your inner space is only yours and yours only. Otherwise, no third ring power for you. I even doubt if you could even reach the beginning stages of the second power ring. Well, the second ring of power is about being the center of your life, the creator of your own reality. It's the ring of manifestation. You learn here how to use the power of your inner space to manifest things in the physical. But again, it's still dependence. Why do you want to manifest something outside of yourself? A certain amount of money, certain things for yourself. For example, I had a conversation with someone who wanted to be a multi-billionaire. And I asked him why he wanted to get certain extremely large amount of money into his account. He said, for being self-confident, for the sense of security. Well, but if you are aware that you possess the unlimited, boundless power within that can create anything, anytime, and it's not necessary for you to have it now on your account, whatever is necessary will always be available when it's necessary. This is a lifestyle of the third ring of power. Although, of course, you can have a lot of money and real estate or whatever, what people call assets, all kinds of assets, of course, whatever. But your life is not dependent on what you have, or what you don't have, or what you want to have. You can have nothing physically and manifest the entire new cosmos out of your inner nothing, but potentially everything. This is your inner space, inner nothing and potentially everything. You manifest everything out of nothing. But this nothing has to be potent, to be powerful, to be able to always be potentially everything. And for that purpose, we want to be busy with its maintenance all the time, 24/7. We are going to find out experientially how to do it. The sessions will be just pure experience, but you take all those keys that you'll get during the sessions and you'll work with them 24/7 to make it your own experience and not just randomly moments of power from time to time. So manifesting $5 trillion, if someone wants them, it is the second ring of power manifestation. But I must say, their manifestations live in their inner space in the same way as people live in the inner space of other people at the first power ring. Their manifestations are the sources of their personal self-confidence, their personal security and well-being. Their manifestations instead of their own selves. They make their lives, their moods, their security, their everything dependent on their successful manifestation. This is really no different from the first power ring, only a different kind of dependency. Yes, there are some slight advancements because at least they got rid of dependent people in their lives and their own dependence on other people or non-physical beings, God, goddesses, extraterrestrials, and the like. But we must admit that this is a huge progress by itself. Yes, of course. But here at the ring number 2, they can't be happy. They can't be satisfied with their lives until they manifest something specific. Again, they're dependent on the external source of well-being. I will not be totally happy until I get this or that. Although they experience some of their own power here, unlike the ring number 1, where they lived only by the power and wisdom of someone else. But the second ring power has its limitations. Unless our inner space is completely free from all kinds of attachments, we'll either experience no power or limited power. Like there's huge difference between cable and dial-up internet, especially dial-ups at the beginning stages of the existence of internet. Some power, but not all power. Because there's still something standing between ourselves and ourselves until we realize that we are all in all, we have it all, we have everything within ourselves by just being ourselves. My being is my sustenance, not my manifestation is my sustenance, not my spiritual teacher is my sustenance, my being, and just by being only. Here at the third power ring, we don't even think about manifestations. Manifestation as a concept is non-existent at the third ring of power level. Do we need to consciously worry about manifestation of our breathing or heartbeat? Of course not, because it's an integral part of our operating system. Your being, yourself, is your operating system, operational system. And as long as you operate this system, it will just keep producing everything necessary for its ongoing operation, including money, real estate, health, whatever. It's absolutely self-sustaining, self-sufficient system. And you don't have multiple selves. Someone invited me for healing session, some strange modality. I declined, of course. And the strange modality promotes the idea of the multiple selves. Supposedly we have a lot of selves, and there's only one higher self, and supposedly we need to jump through multiple amount of hoops for money, of course, to finally get reunited, reconnected with our so-called higher selves. Such a schizophrenia, you know. In reality, we have only one self, and it's we ourselves. Whenever you say I, you mean I. If I say you, he, she, him, or her, or it, then I talk about someone or something else. All those crazy ideas about, oh, this is true myself and this is ego, um, they're just crazy ideas. Yes, you are the ego. In Greek, pronounce, uh, correct pronunciation in Greek is ego, ego. And this is who you are, ego. Ego is Greek word for I or I am. Ego eimi in Greek, I am. So you are the ego. And the greater your ego is, the greater you are, the greater your power and your influence is in this world. So the third ring of power is empowering, strengthening, and expanding your ego, your pure, clean, and holy ego. And it's pure, holy, and clean, and no one else and nothing else lives there. Let yourself be yourself, and let others be others. Don't mix with others, and don't let others mix with you, including your dreams, desires, manifestations, if they orient you towards something external, something outside of you. So our starting point is just be yourself, and be yourself only. This is the end of the introduction. We'll start our sessions in 2 weeks. Talk to you soon.